Hello, and thanks for joining us in our Learn by Doing webinar series. The full name is more like Learn and Improve RV by Doing. And that is what we're going to be doing here. But first, I always have a topic which is me and expands myself and hopefully all of you. And today it's telepathy and ETs. So let's first look at the agenda, which is the first half hour. We'll do the telepathy and ETs roughly. That'll be the topic. And then the rest of the time will be the learn by doing, where you will be doing an RV session, explain to you how it's in the style that SRI initially did back in the 1970s. But you will send your predictions to me and we can discuss them, and you will be doing positive feedback during the workshop. So let's get to the telepathy and ETs. Now, psychology today is not the greatest scientific journal, and yet it shows that the issue of telepathy is becoming more and more acceptable and out there. 10 years ago, it was a no-no. So this article is called The Biology of Telepathy. And first they mention ESP, and I don't want to read all of this. You can go back and look at it on your own. But they have, many scientists think they understand how it works, and that's using mirror neurons. Telepathy refers to communication outside of known senses. I think we know that. But many studies have demonstrated that we can read other people's minds because we have neurons that act. Ooh, what was that? Hmm. Okay, so the studies have demonstrated that we can read other people's minds because we have neurons that in our brains, obviously, which are very closely connected to our minds, which indeed are non-local and can do telepathy. And these act as automatic mirrors. In fact, we can grasp the intentions and emotions of others automatically. So this is in psychology today. In addition, they refer to Rupert Sheldrake's work, and I've done a lot of presentations and stuff with him. But in this particular one, he recruited 50 participants, and they had 4 potential emailers that were going to email to them. And 1 minute before a prearranged time. The point is, this was totally blind. They had no idea who was going to email them. And so the participants had to, quote, guess who would send it. And with 552 blind trials, 43% of the guesses were correct. This is much higher than the 25% one would have expected, because there were 4 potential emailers. So this is something they're saying is telepathy. You know, closely related to remote viewing. Here's another one, which Rupert, he's done a lot of stuff on this, but this one had calling rather than emails. They're one of four potential callers, which would call them. Many of us have had the experience of feeling like somebody is going to call us who we haven't heard from a long time, and then the phone rings. Well, this was an experiment on that to see if it was something which indeed can happen. So he or she knows in these cases who the potential callers are, but the experimenter chooses the caller at random by throwing a die and then tells the caller that he or she has been chosen to call at a given time. So again, random, the person who picks up the phone has no idea. When the telephone rings, the participant has to say who is calling before picking up the receiver. So they record that. That's part of the experiment. These tests, of course, are carried out using telephones without caller identification. Well, by chance, if telepathy played no part, the success rate would be again 25%. In fact, a total of more than 850 trials involving 65 participants, the average success rate was 42%. That's a p value of 1 times 10 to the minus 26. For many medical studies and other, all you really need is a 0.05, like a 10 to the minus 2 would be terrific, but here this was 10 to the minus 26. So in many ways, this really does prove telepathy among people. Now, how about non-human communication? And you're thinking ETs, we'll get to that later. But right now, how about dogs? Well, again, Sheldrake did a really detailed blind study where people who participate in this would be randomly told to come home at a certain time to see, in fact, if the dogs would be there. Okay, you come home at 5 o'clock every night. Yeah, the dog is there. This was random. And guess what? They had a very high success rate. So somehow, through a type of telepathy with dogs, non-humans, um, they were able to, the dogs knew when their owners were coming home. So I thought that was a very interesting study. Okay, now let's get to ETs. Now, there's a very famous book, and it's had various updates. If you haven't gotten this one, I really recommend it for lots of reasons, but it's called Penetration, and there's a special edition which is updated. And Ingo, most of you probably know him if you're here, but he reveals long-held secret series of experiments with a deep black agency whose apparent charter was simple. Charter was UFOs and extraterrestrials on the moon, and they had worries about ET telepathic mind control powers. Now, he was able to release this because the document he signed expires. He was told he couldn't talk about this for, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it was, but then he revealed this stuff in the book. Now, so what he discusses here is undeveloped human telepathy and contrasts it with the probable, still calls it probable, but he's got examples in his book, existence of fully developed alien telepathy, which may have different forms, pictures, ideas, whatever, but a communication using telepathy, and he is talking about ET to ET and ET to humans. Now, penetration is about one of the means by which we can learn more about those not of the earth, like ETs, and vice versa. There are people who communicate with ETs using telepathy, and the ETs communicate with them, and I'll give you some more examples of that. But this is an area where it's hard to have the kind of absolute proof you would like. But there are some pretty good examples here that sort of are convincing. Okay, so he's saying here, when one mind existing as a three-dimensional thing, he talks like this. There's a quote from him, communicating with another three-dimensional thing. You know, he believes in multidimensionals and all of that. And I think he thinks ETs are that. But that kind of communication across distance is not the distance involved, conceived of in three-dimensional terms. He talks a lot, and some of the ETs in their communications say that our concepts of time and space are really totally off, that there's no distance in what we call linear spatial distances. And that goes along with the quantum mechanical concept, which is well known and accepted about non-locality. Non-locality uh, shows that things can be in touch at any distance. That photons that go off in different directions at the speed of light, you tweak one and the other one knows about it. So this thing about instantaneous communication at a distance is just like saying that things, in fact, are all together in the here and now. Your here and now contains things from everywhere and everywhen. Pretty cool. Okay, Ingo goes on further. He investigated mob consciousness, and he says that's not an intellectual response. You don't talk people into doing mob consciousness. It's emotional empathy. And I think we know that. The examples of mob behavior was really an emotional um, an emotional, I mean, it's talking, but it's not the word, it's emotion. You get emotion going. And so it's emotionally, subconsciously transmitted. This, however, could not be explained unless the concept of telepathy was brought into consideration. So he sees a lot of ways. Now, there's a relatively new book which came out, and I really recommend this to everybody. Um, this is Project 8200. The author, the person who put this together, is Skip Atwater. We all know him as Skip. I did workshops with him at the Monroe Institute. In fact, many years, many years ago, that's where I got introduced to all this stuff. And then I started doing workshops at the Monroe Institute for a while with him. But what's so significant here is that what is included here are original remote viewing transcripts, most significantly, in my opinion, from Pat Price. At the very beginning of the book, I don't know how many, about 20 pages of transcripts of Pat Price. Now, you may know that he was considered one of the greatest remote viewers, period. He was the guy who discovered that super secret facility back in early 1973 that probably had the remote viewing program at SRI funded for as long as it was funded for 20 years, each year being reviewed. Anyway, he did that. He even got into a safe, which is usually considered impossible, and read things in the safe. And the men in black came out and thought there was some sort of security brief. That was the feedback. First feedback they got was that way. When the men in black come and question, how did you get that information? You're doing okay. But in this case, Pat decided on his own. He was not tasked to do this. I want to look at UFO bases. So he did this on his own. And what he found was 4 underground UFO bases buried deep in mountains. I guess I should have them here, but I don't. I know one was in South America. I think one was off in Alaska. Anyway, they're in remote places, and these are very deeply, deeply buried. And so he did this as a private contractor, and he gave this to Hal Puthoff. And many years later, Skip got a hold of them, and he put them in this book. He also independently had other remote viewers check some of them, just gave them coordinates in these deep places. This 10 years ago, this book would have been science fiction speculation. Today is one more brick in the wall documenting a non-human presence on our planet. You'll see when you read, let's see, I think I have examples here. Oh, no. Okay. He specifically talks, here I'm focusing on mental telepathy, but in these pages, he describes the ETs. They're human-like, but not really human. They're taller, their characteristics are a little bit different, but they have 2 arms, 2 legs. One of the first things he says is the home port is Mars, which I thought was interesting. And they use thought induction. They have knowledge of the physical universe. They can induce sleep. And this is how they take many people on board. They hypnotize them and take them on board their ships. But I want to show you something that fascinated me. They have a way of storing mental telepathic images. They have a headband that fits around their head, and he describes contacts, but separate wires run inside the headband and collect through a single conductor cable that connects into an amplifier unit. So the sender thinks picture messages pick up contact points, which are transmitted through separate portions of a thought pattern into this amplifier. Signal gets boosted and is then transmitted via antenna. Now, this is the way Pat actually talked. So some of the English, he just wanted to get out the concepts he was getting. But notice, here's a sender in a unit of some sort, and then the receiver, and it's amplified. And then the receiver receives impulses and reconverts into thought impulses on the receiving end. Pretty amazing. So not only can they do it, but they can store it. That's pretty cool. I never really thought about it in that fashion, but that's what Price says. Okay. And then the only other, I think all of us have heard of so many of these stories. Um, and they're in many books, they're online. And I just have one here. There's a book, Online Onboard UFO Encounters. And these are a collection of Preston Dennett, who interviewed people. Here are 15 of the people he interviewed that talk about sometimes seeing the UFOs and suddenly being brought up, meeting with them. Most of them are friendly, but not all, but most are friendly. I mean, they all came back, but some of them were, scared. Um, um, but on board, they talked to some of the ETs. They got to see the inside of the aircraft, the UFOs. Um, and they were almost all communicated with using telepathy. And they come from all different countries. What a wonderful way to talk to people with different human languages. You use telepathy. So that's just what, there's so many books out there and so many articles. If you've got any interest, you probably already know about it. Okay. Um, I found the encounters and the way he asked them questions and the way they answered to be quite credible. Um, and I don't think I'm a gullible person. I would like to have one of these. I'd like to be in telepathic contact with an alien. But one of the things which is amazing about these is that they had what are called grays. They had some that looked, like the tall ones that we're thinking of, and also some that were reptilian. I mean, he had examples of everything, but really weird stuff. Okay, are there any questions? Would some of you, I see someone wrote, Dolores Canyon spoke about her communications with ETs. Krista, you want to tell us more about that?
Sorry, I had to come off mute. So Marty, I watched something on Dolores Cannon, and I think what happens is she has her people under very deep hypnosis.
Uh-huh.
And then when they are under hypnosis, it's as if another voice starts speaking or another being starts speaking through the person to Dolores. And they then provide information. One of the things that they, for instance, warned about or advised is that they don't like the war that we have on Earth, that we sort of people against people. And they would give her information about that ETs are real, that ETs exist not only here, but in other dimensions. But it's not that she uses the telepathy as such or has the voice in her mind. The voices come through her client or patient that is now under hypnosis.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting kind of communication.
Yes.
Okay. And there are so many stories like this. And I think more and more people are accepting they're here. One of the things Pat Price says, they want to be hidden, and they do things to remain hidden, which is interesting. So you know, they don't land on the White House lawn with their big spacecraft because they want to remain hidden, but not completely hidden. So, I think they're trying to get us to expand our consciousness. That's my my viewpoint. Okay, so now, now that we accept that ETs can do telepathy, remote viewing in a way is a kind of telepathy, right? So I want to give you what I see as the deepest form of precognitive remote viewing. And then I want to go back and do it the way SRI did it as well as we can over the internet. They used to take people out to the site. We're not going to do that, but close. So here's the deepest way I look at precognitive remote viewing. You start with a remote viewing session, describe and sketch your feedback target. I mean, remote viewing session, that's pretty standard. You've got some target somewhere and it's your job to describe and sketch it. But now, sometime in the future, you basically do the same thing. One way or another, you see the feedback. Classical remote viewing, and we do non-classical now when we fool around with ETs, but most remote viewing requires a feedback session so you can validate it. Even though it gets used just as Pat Price did in other ways. And having multiple people do it, who knows? So it's a little less certain. Anyway, I see the feedback session being absolutely critical because here you know the truth. You've got the truth point. And you do positive feedback session. You make this feedback as you light it up as much as you can. Lighting it up, since everything is non-local, you're lighting it up for a remote viewing session to get as much information as possible shared. And then your sub is in communication, and there's a fellow named Kramer who has a quantum mechanical model, and he calls it a handshake actually through time. And I love that concept because that's what it is. You're now connected, and focused intention, expectation, and emotion are parts of this, but I think intention is the most important. And then what makes all of this happen is what I call the universal collective consciousness, but it's a spiritual plane. It's the Akashic record. Ingo called it the matrix. Some call it all that is. It is a non-physical plane. That is where the information and all of this starts, down here. Okay, I just gave you Kramer as a his transactional interpretation of quantum mechanics. There are many of them. In my opinion, this is the best because he connects things through time. Now, let's get into the SRI Outbounder experiments. They started all this with a 50K contract. I think it was through the DIA, but or maybe the CIA, since that's what I have here. And what they used to do was, yes, they were, when they did the remote viewing session, they describe and sketch your target. That was the remote viewers part of it. But back here, the viewer plus others did do feedback. However, so all of this does hold. However, what was very different was the remote viewer was one person was in the laboratory, okay, and the receiver viewer, which was in the laboratory, so he's trying to receive the information, attempting to draw or describe a scene known as the target, observed by a sender from a remote location outside the laboratory. So let me just see if I can make this clear. The remote viewer often was with Russell Targ in SRI, actually shielded environment, and there'd be a remote viewer doing something there. The feedback session is going to come later, and the viewer is taken there, but the viewer doesn't know about any of that. The outbounder is given, they were given, and if this is not clear, you've got to stop me because you can't understand this. It's not that complicated. I'm using way too many words. But Hal Puthoff in the early days was out with someone else. He had 100 envelopes with 100 locations within 20 minutes or something like that from SRI. He would pick one randomly. So it was only then that they knew where the target would be. And then he would go to that target. So that's why it was called Outbounder. Later, the remote viewer, with his transcript, and that might be Pat Price, they had several viewers back there, including Joe McMonagle, might then take the transcript and go out to the site. Now we're going to do that in a different fashion because I have, in fact, chosen the target randomly. You're going to do remote viewing sessions and you will get your feedback later, just like they did. And that'll be the equivalent of going to the site. Now, notice the outbounders, when they went to the site, they looked at it. They had their transcript. Oh, look, I got that. Oh, I wonder why I missed that. Oh, look, I got that. Oh, that's what that little sketch meant. They would spend a lot of time doing positive feedback. They didn't call it that. I call it that. And it's a very important part of this because that's where the communication with the remote viewing session goes on. Okay, are you clear on that? Any questions? Okay, so let's duplicate. So we're going to duplicate that sort of. Now, if any of you are not already, and I do see some new names here, let's get you registered. Just put your name in the chat box and I'll register so you can get the taskings early. You'll get emails and all that kind of stuff about when this is published. I think Krista, I don't know who, Joe, Ellen. Go ahead. All this does is put you into a discussion group. You do not have to do discussions. You will occasionally get emails, but that's all. Well, if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. Okay. If you change your mind, yeah, Krista, I know you are, but I don't think a lot of these other people are. I mostly this gets used for the once a month. Okay, Joe, so you are. Very good. Ah, thank you. So let's get Lynn. There you are. I'll directly add you. Okay, very good. I guess Kelly is too, or Yeah, I think Kelly is too. Okay, so the new one is Lynn. Let me add. mm, Okay, very good. Let me add Lynn. I am not a robot, though I think I am a quantum robot. Add members. Okay, this tends to show it pretty quickly. Okay, there you are. So you're in and you'll get future emails to this group. So let me go back here. So, I sent out to the members, so most of you already got this email. With, let me see, I want to get this right. Hmm, Okay. Okay, so this is the email I sent out to the members. But now let me give it to the and put it in the chat box. Um, Notice all these other groups, which I hope newbie will join. So here's a coordinate. So each of you should have your own coordinate, get your own coordinate. And let me put this in the chat box. That works. Yes. Okay, so if you did not get the email or don't remember it or whatever, you can click that to get your coordinate now. And put that coordinate. So all you do is put in your email address. And on a new sheet of paper, so you all have your new coordinate. On a new sheet of paper, put the coordinate on the left. And some think it's good to say it out loud because then you can say it out loud during your positive feedback, and another way of lighting it up. Put your name, date, time, and workshop webinar name here. Okay, you're all with me? Okay. Now, intention is a very big part of this. So your intention is to describe and or sketch with your coordinate target. Okay. Now that target has indeed been chosen, just like they did with SRI, but you don't know what it is, just like the viewer didn't. So let's do it. We're going to drop our intellectual ego self. You're going to get with your sub intention. Let's take a few breaths just to begin a cool down. You're about to do this. describe and or sketch your feedback. Joe McMonagle said cool down is very important. That's when you can get in touch with the target. Tom McMayer did it with a silent prayer to an all-knowing entity, which you call God. Some people just keep it quiet. You can turn off my words. I'm going to turn on a meditation, a 4-minute meditation, which I think is really good for the cool down, emphasizing your describe and sketch, and then really dropping it, and then doing your session. So we're going to do a 4-minute meditation, 7 minutes for the RV session. And you're going to be an honest witness to your subconscious. The ego's only job is to maintain the transcript. And I'll tell you when 1 minute is left. Okay. So here's a 4-minute meditation.
So let us take some words into meditation, repeated simple phrases. First of all, just allow yourself to repeat. Do not be afraid. Imagine that is being said to you by your wise teacher that you acknowledge, Jesus, your Buddha nature, the Prophet, Allah, the universe, nature. But somewhere echoing around the universe is that deep-seated voice that says, don't be afraid. And perhaps as we touch into that phrase of don't be afraid, we recognize that as human beings we exist on many planes of existence, from our mortal frame, our minds and bodies, to an aspect of our being that is immortal, the soul, our essence. Each of us, during our lives may touch into that truth. It may sometimes seem far away, sometimes may seem close. Some of us may live it moment by moment, recognizing that we are not just who we think we are. We're not our roles, our identities. So be open now, deep in our consciousness, deep in the unconscious. Allow ourselves to say quite simply, I am. Breathe in the word, I. Breathe out the word, am. Just sit for a moment, breathing, I am. Encouraging the sense of simply being. No need for an addition that I am this or I am that or I'm experiencing this. But I am open to, receptive to the deepest, very core of our being. This I amness has been said throughout time in all traditions. It is eternal. It is immortal. We open ourselves, are receptive to our essential nature, which does not know death. The we who we think we are may pass away, the world may pass away, but it is only one plane of consciousness. Deep in the very core of our being is the immortal I amness, which all beings, all life, all creation possesses. And as we touch into that essential I amness, As we breathe in the word I, breathe out the word am. We remember that those are the very words when asked, "Who are you?" of the divine. That is exactly what the divine says. I am. And we say, I am. And all beings say, I am. The whole universe is saying, I am.
Create your transcript now. You have about 1 minute to get some more information. Or if you're done, just simply write "end" at the bottom of your transcript. Okay. If you need more time, you can take it. But generally, these transcripts are done in less than 7 minutes, but some people like to do more, so you can keep doing that. But at this point, at this point, okay, at this point, send your transcript to me. So you've done the remote viewing session. In SRI terms, they probably copied it at SRI, but you're now in the process of taking it to the Outbounder location. And I'm going to show you that shortly, but I'd like to have all of your transcripts in hand. So I think you know how to send me an email and just make your transcript an attachment or put it in the body so we can talk about it and share. So that's going to the site. And those guys got their positive feedback there. We're going to get it here. So send your transcript to me. Excellent. Yeah, better. Okay, I've got Krista's Al Hussein You said done, but now you have to send it to me as an attachment. Yes, to Marty at p-i-a.com. Okay, good. I have offers. I know sometimes it takes a while to get it scanned or whatever. But I think it's useful for others to see your transcripts. Okay. Well, go ahead. While you're doing that, I do want to talk about positive feedback protocol, which is what you would do if you are at the site. So the examples would be from you. Those are going to be the examples of the RV. And the way to do it better and better is to focus on your positive feedback session, that protocol, and let your intuition guide your remote viewing session. This is all about just allowing the subconscious to do the work. Now, hopefully, even though you're sending your stuff to me, you can listen to this and I can do it again. But the idea is, and I have 3 of yours, so the 3 of you can start doing this now. The others are like to wait till you got yours in. But circle, you're going to circle or mark matches on your transcript. Those are going to be the good ones. And then on the new sheet of paper, you're going to do a front-loaded RV session, the one you wish you had done. And you write positive feedback on that transcript. You might do new simple sketch there on the positive feedback. And sounds, touch, smell, taste, feelings, things which you might not have gotten the first time around, new words, and you consciously enjoy positive emotions and feelings. Okay, so I've now described it to you. Let me now show you the target so you can do it. Before we talk about individual ones, I want to show you. So here's the target that the Outbounder people chose. That is not it. Copy. That's your target. So now it's as if they took you to that beach and those kites were flying. And this is what you see. Compare that to your transcript. Circle the good stuff and feel very happy about it. Did you get the colors? Did you get motion? We're going to look at them soon, but this is in general and for all of you. Did you get people? Did you get water? This has a lot of possibilities in it. Okay. And those of you who sent it in, you can start doing a positive feedback. And let me start with Krista, who did hers first. Okay.
You know, my very first idea was sort of upwards, an upward squiggle, and then I dismissed it. And here, at least I've got blue sky, people, sun, maybe sea, and but I thought there were people sitting at a table.
No, but you got people.
Yeah,
Circle that. No, you circle, and you even got more than one. You know,
yeah.
let's have only one. Um,
I mean, I think this is only the one page, and I've got another page as well. I thought, okay, yeah, there were 2 pages. This is the second page. Yeah.
okay, you can tell us about it. Did you get more good stuff? You got, well, let me see if I can get this.
Um,
And
so the first idea was that I got upward squiggles, but I didn't actually write down movement. I didn't write down movement as such on my first page, because I think in my email I sent you 2 pages. Let me just quickly go to my email.
did you?
Um,
Well, we'll get the second page.
Okay, and then I had I think they're the wrong way around. I had people, lips, laughing, wave, hair, or grass, grainy, sandy, and
Oh,
sort of,
oh,
yeah.
that's excellent.
Mm,
The beach is there.
mm,
I want to see if there's a way I can get both. Let me look at your.
okay, yeah. So I think it could have been a bit better with the upward movement, but at least the blue sky, etc. Oh, that's a very old one.
Okay, but that's your second page.
That's an old second page, I think. 9/4/24. I don't know who that is. No.
Okay, well, that's what looks like
Yeah,
you sent me.
yeah. You have 2 pages, one behind each other on the email. I hope that they both came through. That one, I don't know. Oh, I can't. I can see it on my email. I can see the 2 pages on my email that I sent, but I think you might not see both pages.
Oh, yeah,
There's
there.
just one under the other. Let me just see.
Okay, so
That's the first page, yes.
positive feedback. Let's just go over to make sure you understand why. First of all, you said people, even though you only draw two, but I would circle this, you know,
Okay.
circle it for sure. That's really good. Okay,
Okay.
let's go back and forth to this picture. Okay,
Mm,
because there are a lot of people,
mm,
a lot of blue.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
that was a good one. Yeah.
right, blue sky.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, I don't know what big eyes is. I don't, you just leave that blank, that's all. Sun, well,
Yeah, it's no, there's no sun. I did get a sort of rays of sun actually, but yeah,
people is good.
maybe,
And
yeah.
this is Mabley C, is that an A?
Yeah, SEA, yes.
Okay, so you did great on that one. Oh, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Does have the feeling of the kites.
Yeah,
Okay, and good, you did everything. You put your coordinate. Again, you've got people. Lip,
yeah.
I don't see a good enough face. What is that? Lounging?
Longing, longing, longing. I
Oh,
thought it was longing. I had a feeling of longing.
okay. I don't, yeah, well, wave is
Wave.
good. I mean, we see the waves,
Okay.
air, grass. Look at that. There's actually grass there.
Yeah, I got that.
Grainy and sandy. And again, you got people with love, and there are a lot of couples. And let's,
Yeah.
I don't like to stretch too much, but notice most of yours, hopefully you're circling them on your transcript. Some people don't like to mess up their transcript, so they'll make a copy first, but I would say put it right on your transcript and let's see what that is. I'm not sure what that is, so I would leave it blank. But you had so much that's good. Step two is now on a new sheet of paper, put all of this, but on the top over here, put positive feedback with your coordinate, PFB. So it's clear that it's positive feedback. And now it's front loaded because you've seen this, but that's good. You now want to do another session to reinforce things you might have missed, like multiples. You didn't put any colors. Look at all the colors. And that should help you next time with colors and other things you observe that you wish you had gotten, which would have made your already good transcript even better. And that's how you learn. That's why this positive feedback is so important. You got it?
Thank you.
Okay. So now let's go to Far. I don't know, is that how you pronounce your name? Students here.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, very good. How do you pronounce your name? Offer?
Ophir, it rhymes with an ear.
Okay, Ophir, and you've got 3 pages. So why don't we go through them together? There might be a way. Let me see if I can get both of these on the same page. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. Hmm. Since it ends. This is there. I'm trying to make it small. Oh, let me just make it smaller this way. Trying to get them both on the same page at the same time rather than going back and forth. Go back and forth wasn't too bad. Got that there. Put your email here. Put that there. I'm trying to be efficient and maybe taking more time, but I'm sorry, you understand. I mean, the key part that we're doing here with each of you, I really believe will make you a better remote viewer. So let's get yours up again. Okay, there you are. Okay, so there it is, right? Yeah, that's all of it. And now indeed, I can bring videos. Bring the target there. There, that was easy. Okay. So let's look at what you did, and I need to read this, know the feedback.
No, you don't need to.
Okay. So there you are. And you again got this upward. Very interesting. You know, not all.
Yeah, yeah. I saw. I've wrote a tornado or something narrow and tall, like a circular motion up the air.
Right. So I think that's really good. And there are circle stuff here, a few of them. See, now some things I circle really big. You know, I wouldn't make that really big. I would make the upward though. I'd make that whole ideogram big. But you need to do what you feel about. Did you get that right? Was that good?
I'm not happy with that, but let's keep going. There are more pages.
Right, okay, and that's what I'm saying. But you can circle it, but I wouldn't, make it double circle. And tall is good. Well, some things when they're really good, that's what I do. My God, look how good I did. How well I did.
Okay, let's go to the third page because that's the last one. So let's go to the one after.
Okay.
Yeah, so here uh, it's like a sunglasses shape, a glasses shape, but if you will turn it upside down, I think it looks like one of the kites that has this curvy thing with two lines coming out of it. If you go back to the photo, to the target,
Uh-huh.
you see there are all kinds of kites that are
That are
two lines and they're connected with something.
round
Not
and
those.
yeah,
No, like this one,
this
and
one.
there's the one on the right
Yeah,
here.
I think that's exactly right. And orientation is often off. So,
And I wrote my AOL was like Santa Monica Pier, but and a roller coaster, but that was not the case clearly.
this could be Santa Monica. Um,
I would not be surprised if it's not. I will be surprised if it's not, but I don't know. I'm just joking.
I don't know either.
And again, this is like I try like to compress all of them together, like everything. So I've got that upward circular motion in the air, and there's something with a thin line and things attached to it.
Okay, definitely circle the good stuff. But now you understand the next step. On a new sheet of paper, you put at the top positive feedback with your coordinate. You got your stuff to circle, that's good. But now you do a new one, and indeed it's front loaded, but you kind of do it in this style. You might do another ideogram, but then you do new little sketches, which might have lots of stuff on it. Water, you say water, waterland interface, whatever your terminology usually would be for something like this. You don't sketch it, but you come up with a remote viewing like positive feedback. And that's how you're going to learn. Oh, I see. I didn't get water. This time you do get water, and you kind of pay attention to what water feels like when you write it down on your piece of paper, because this is all for learning. So the next ones are better.
Right. May I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I actually what I'm trying to do, I train by myself with I have my own photos that I'm using, and the reason is my feedback is it's all graphic based, and a photo like this it's quite complicated to use in a graphic feedback. So what I'm doing, my session is 100% or 95% graphic, and then I compare it to a target which is very graphic. So it's kind of like a different way of doing RV than the regular Stargate. Um,
Right, I understand.
but
In fact, like your target might only be this upper corner here.
maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
No, I'm
But
do it. You might choose that, or you might
right.
choose an area over here. I understand that, and a lot of people like those kind of targets. I've taken the point of view of if I can photograph it, it's a potential target. But I understand what you're saying. I do. I do. Um, Using your own targets, you can use this approach, though, of the positive feedback. And I think it'll improve yourself. So you don't have to use our target, do use your own target.
I think that in the near future, I'm actually going to contact you and ask you to witness how well I'm doing. I'm following the spy right now with my own sessions, and it doesn't matter how good I'm saying that I am if nobody witnessed that. So I might use you as a witness if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. And you can send me some of your old ones. But yeah, that plays up the different kind of targets. Okay, but here,
Okay, thank you very much.
yeah, and thank you. And I would still say do a positive feedback for this kind of target, even though it's not what you're using. Who knows? In the future, it'll help you. Okay, so let's see who we have now. The mailing. This. Okay, now we have Kelly. Kelly. Oh, okay, so we're set up to do you, Kelly, very nicely. Here we go. So, round, well, there's certainly some round. Yellow, lots of yellow. So you got that color, circle that for sure. Oh, a lot of pink. Yeah, red, pink, good. Layered. What do you think? You're the one, you're judging it for you. Do you think this has a sense of layered?
Circle it. So
Kelly, you think
Okay.
this has a sense of layered?
not hearing. Yeah, no, I didn't circle it.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, hey, that's fine. I could see where, okay, good for you. And that's swirling. Oh, okay. You can't see that, but it's unlikely that a kite would not be swirling a little bit. I would have circled that. Did you circle it?
I did circle that one, yes.
I think that's a good one. And this says what?
Track,
Track.
yeah. Then I had a sort of drew like a track,
Yeah.
which you could have that line of whatever that line is towards the bottom, but that might be pushing it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that would be the water-land interface. Oh, I see. And look, you've got your little line there. Well, that would be pushing it a little.
There are some vertical kites, it looks like. But,
Okay, and again, you've got a circular one here. Okay, so you got some things. The key is always the positive feedback, because for the future, you will know when you do your remote viewing session that you did everything you possibly could in your positive feedback session, brand new session, brand new piece of paper, PFB on the top with the coordinate, and then you'll do a session now in your style, which is front loaded, And you're not like trying to cover it and make it perfect. You're trying to capture the major gestalt. It's like, I noticed you didn't get water. That would have been nice, right? To get water. You did great with the colors, but you ought to be able to get water. And if you write water, maybe even do your sketch with your little line this way and water in the back, and writing water, or, a sketch with multiple, however you would normally do something like this. So that next time you would do that. I don't know if you have an ideogram, which is like water and sky. The only color you really didn't get is blue. Definitely get blue and look at blue, and make this a strong positive feedback with all the good stuff. You could put the old stuff in too, but then you want to add stuff, which makes it a more perfect session. Is that clear?
Oh, very clear. Yeah, thanks, Marty.
And the concept just makes so much sense because it's all about learning, and the positive feedback session is about learning and improving your next one. Okay. So that's all I got. So Joe was like the only one who didn't do one. Joe, were you not able to
Uh,
scan?
Hi, Marty. That was the first one that you pulled up. That was mine. It was kind of sloppy with the writing on the top of it. That's from JR, couple down below from where you're at.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so
Sorry,
you did do one.
I
Oh,
did it. I was
okay.
in too much of a hurry. That was the problem. I did it real early. I should have waited.
Well, most people, it's my experience, one of the things they teach you is to put the start time and end time. I haven't focused on that, but it's
Oh.
usually 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. You don't need more than that. It's the very first set of images that come once you put the coordinates down. Let me see if I can do a rotate here. Yeah, we didn't look at yours in any detail.
Sorry for sending it sideways, by the way.
No, and feel free to do that when you do more, because it's easy for me when I put these in a PowerPoint to rotate it. So let's just see what you've got here. I'll put my head sideways.
Turn my computer sideways.
Circles, and I
So-
see a rectangle.
I had a motion going left or right, and originally I only had the circles, but for some reason I felt like something was on top of them that I should have drawn. And but I did kind of see something connected. Like I felt that there was a connection between two things.
And you did that connector there.
So I'm guessing that would be like the kite and a string, maybe.
Right.
But it was okay. It was my first one in almost 2 years. So I was just, you know.
And there's a cloud-like thing maybe there are no clouds there for the sky. Okay, read these words to me. What is that? I just can't read them.
Sorry, my wrist is messed up, so when I spell, it's not so great. But machine, metallic, round, straight lines, dark,
Gray.
gray, tube, long, connected parts, and then motion. I saw motion, and black. I don't know where that came from, and cloud, a cloud.
Well, you say you don't know where it came from. Um, I a machine. I'm not sure I'd call this a machine. If you said
No.
that would count. Metallic, no, but some of these round is, we see round. Um, what was this one again? Oh, straight
Straight,
line. Oh,
straight.
circle that one for sure. Look at all the strings are all straight lines. This was dark. Now, what is that one again? Let's talk about them as you do them. What is this one?
Dark and then gray underneath it.
Dark. Look, there's plenty of
Yeah.
dark. So circle that for sure.
Yeah.
Gray. It's almost always gray, but that's not a good one.
Not so much.
This says tube. Marginal. Long, absolutely. That not only long string, but there's a long tail. And connected parts, absolutely. Motion, absolutely. Black, absolutely. So you got a lot to circle. And now you do your positive feedback. And, instead of a cloud, you get blue sky, blue. You get the ocean, water land interface. Certainly people. I don't see you get people. But funny enough, and this one is hard to circle, but if I did this, I would consider that to be multiple. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
All these circles
Mm-hmm.
back at each
Yeah.
would be multiple, but doing it again, write multiple.
Okay. That's a good idea.
And then the sky. I chose this one at random.
Mhm.
And it may have some problems. I don't know how you show everything. If you were above land and had a bunch of stuff up there, but you can now do that. You can almost put some odd shapes, several of them in the sky,
Mhm.
and then certainly people down on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see how you would do, and it's really funny with just a rough sketch that won't take you long, but you do it kind of with intensity, like when you write the word water, and if you had an ideogram for water, and you draw a few lines like this, sand, water, sky, with some stuff in the sky, it kind of captured the essence of it with people. You don't need the details, the gestalts, or it give it away.
I'm trying not, one of my hardest things is to not turn the shapes into thoughts. Like I think it's this or I think it's that. And I'm still trying to work on that, but it still leaks through periodically. Where like I would almost put those circles together and think of it as a train on tracks or something. It's my own mind spinning. And I'm trying not to do that. Just stick to what comes in.
Right. And you know what that is, of course, those are called AOLs. And you seem to recognize them as AOL, analytical overlays, right?
Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
You know what that is. And that's just what that is. And the best thing to do with those is put them on the right side of the sheet of paper, put AOLs there. We all know those are AOLs on the right. That gets rid of them. And then you go back and either do another ideogram or just get more information. So trust me, you're not the only one getting AOLs. I'm sure probably everybody here gets AOLs from time to time.
I think I have an active imagination, but I do like that idea. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Oh, you mean to write them down? Absolutely. Absolutely. And recognizing them is so important because that means the other stuff is probably coming from your subconscious. And learning how to distinguish that is a very important skill in general. So, okay. Well, I think any other comments, questions on this part of what we did?
No, thank you.
Okay, so you got the target. And so that's it. Positive feedback. Until you do your positive feedback, you have not finished doing your RV session. You know, people, as soon as they see the target, they go in and mentally do things. Do your positive feedback session every time because it starts there. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, a very famous Christian mystic. I don't know if he's still alive. It goes back a ways. And then I have two things which I don't know. I put together. This one is healthy, wealthy, and wise. But always remember the greatest wealth is indeed health, healthy living. And then this last one, which I got when I was in the Monroe Institute, they did a meditation. They had us go through 4 pools and bring back something. And I brought back these 4 words. And I love them. And so I'm sharing them with you. I wish you all love, wisdom, beauty, and joy. So
Thanks, Marty. Same to you.
thank you. That's my presentation. No questions, comments. We can end it here.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. And I thank you all for coming. You can tell I really enjoy doing this. So let me stop the share. My hat, though, is a feedbacker hat. And this now.